And a good Saturday afternoon out here on the West Coast. Good Saturday evening here on the East. And I want to welcome you all to BETHEA'S BYTE Reloaded. So good to have you all here. And if you're not here just yet, I'm not bum rushing through. I'm just gonna wait, let you guys get all settled, because we have a very important topic to discuss. And it has a lot to do with not only with certain past cases, but a couple of current ones too. So if you're just coming in, settle in. Welcome one, welcome all. This is the drama-free true crime destination. This is BETHEA'S BYTE Reloaded. So glad to have you here. And as you're settling in, I'm going to start off with not one, but two missing persons reports. First, I start with Lori Page. Just give me 1 second to share that screen. And there you go. Lori Page. Lori Page has been missing since June 3rd, 2023, out of Tallahassee, Florida. She was 12 years old at the time of her disappearance. She stood about 5 feet tall, weighed around 120 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. Lori Page may have ties. No, let me start with the details first before I add the extra remarks. The FBI's Jacksonville field office and the Tallahassee Police Department in Florida are seeking information from the public regarding the disappearance of Lori Page. Lori's been missing since June 3rd, 2023, from the 1200 block of Continental Court in Tallahassee, Florida. Lori may have ties to or may visit Tallahassee, Florida, Tampa, Florida, Thomasville, Georgia, and Nashville, Tennessee. The FBI is offering a reward of up to $15,000, leading to the recovery of Lori Page. If you have any information concerning this person, I want you to contact the FBI's Jacksonville field office at 904-248-7000, or contact the Tallahassee Police Department at 850-891-4200, or contact your local FBI field office, or you can submit your tips online anonymously at tips.fbi.gov. As always, your vigilance could be the difference between bringing Lori back safe and sound. I will record this video. I'll record this information again at a later date. But I want you to share this information as I have it right now, because that information could be something that can bring Lori back safe. And as always, remember, if you see something, please say something. We want to bring Lori Page back safe and sound. Now, I said I was going to do two, and as promised, I am going to do two because it seems like every time we do a missing persons case like this, it leads to the very topic we're going to talk about. If you got a bad case of deja vu, don't worry. You're not alone. This is 3-year-old Elijah Vu. Elijah's been missing since February 20th, 2024 out of Two Rivers, Wisconsin. Elijah Vu is only 3 years of age. At the time of his disappearance, he only weighed around 50 pounds. Weighed around, he weighed around 50 pounds, stood about 3 feet tall. He was last wearing gray sweatpants, a long sleeve dark colored shirt, red and green dinosaur slip on shoes, and a birthmark on his left knee. A child abduction alert has been issued in Manitowoc County for Elijah Vu. The child was last seen near 3900 Michicot Road in Two Rivers, Wisconsin, and is missing. He was last seen, as I mentioned, the gray sweatpants, long sleeve, dark colored shirt, red and green dinosaur slip-on shoes, and a birthmark on his left knee. If you have any information on Elijah's disappearance, please, whatever you do not hesitate. Call 911 or call the Two Rivers Police Department at 844-267-6648. Or you can call the 24-hour call center for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800-THE-LOST. That's 1-800-843-5678. Your diligence will be the thing that'll bring Elijah safe and sound. Share this information because someone you may know may have some vital information that'll bring little Elijah home and bring him home safe. Again, if you see something, say something. Let's bring Elijah back home safe. Now, I begin this edition because I mentioned Elijah's case could be a case of deja vu. Because last I heard, the search was going on in some landfill or something. And last time I heard about a missing child case going into a landfill. Oh, wow. Aries P. York is in the house. What's going on, Aries? Just stop by to show my support as promised. I'm at a doctor's appointment waiting room to schedule a minor operation. I'll be in and out but listening. Well, I appreciate that. And you sub. I appreciate that too. Thanks, man. Anyway, as I started to say, the last time I remember a case like Elijah's, and I heard that it was that particular case went to a landfill for search. The first thing I thought about was the last thing I thought about was Gannon Stalk, or even worse, Cody Bigsby. And what made me think of those two? It wasn't so much as to where they were found, but it was more the monsters responsible. When I think of Gannon Stalk, I can't help to think. I can't help but think of his mother, Letitia. When I think of Cody Bigsby, I can't help but think of his father, Corey Bigsby. I think of young Michael Ferguson, but I can't help but think of his mother, Shauna Vander Ark. What's going on, Combat Vet? Good to have you on. And calling victims out, and I'm calling the monsters out too. In fact, I have an article in front of me, and let's just say it turns my stomach in two. And I'll share it. Let you follow along with this. Oh, you're right about that, Combat Vet. There are plenty of them. As I advertised this edition of BETHEA'S BYTE Reloaded, and I'm saying this to kids. The monsters no longer hide under the bed. They are no longer hiding in the closet, and they no longer lurk at night. So you're right, Combat Vet. There are a lot of them. Follow along with this one. Two arrested after bodies of missing children found in a suitcase and concrete. In a suitcase and concrete. This is out of Pueblo, Colorado. Two people have been arrested after two missing children were found dead, one in a suitcase and the other encased in concrete. And here are your monsters: Corina Rose Mijares and Jesus Dominguez. Corina Rose Mijares, age 36, and Jesus Dominguez, age 35, were arrested and charged with murder and abuse of a corpse in the deaths of Yesenia and Jose Dominguez Jr., who went missing in the summer of 2018. At the time, Yesenia was 3 years old and Jesus was 5. Police found the girl's remains in a metal container filled with concrete in a storage unit last month, according to authorities. The unit was being cleared out after the rent wasn't paid. As part of the investigation, police began searching for two children last seen in the summer of 2018, Jesus Dominguez Jr. and Yesenia Dominguez. The investigation then led police to a vehicle owned by Mijares in a scrapyard, where they found a boy's remains in a suitcase in the trunk of a car, police said. By February 15, DNA testing showed the remains belonged to the two missing children. Police did not offer details on any relation between the victims and the two arrested. On February 15th, shortly after 3:30 p.m., arrest warrants were obtained for Mijares and Jose Dominguez for 2 counts of first-degree murder and 2 counts of abuse of a corpse. Police say Jesus Dominguez has an additional charge of theft of government benefits. Court hearings were scheduled for both defendants on this past Wednesday, which I got to check for update on that. Available court records did not identify attorneys for Mijares and Dominguez who could comment on their behalf. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see. Combat Vet says it's all good. Judgment Day will be held for them. Absolutely. Teresa's in the house. How you doing, Teresa? Kristen 76, how you doing? Yeah, That was 6 years ago. It was 6 years ago, yet it's still, now it's come back to bite these monsters. And I keep using the term monsters because they're the ones that's supposed to have been doing the job of caring for, loving, and nurturing those kids. Instead, they harm, they abuse, they torture, they starve, and some ultimately kill their kids. And it's a shame. It's an outright shame. Those kids look up to them and they call them mom, dad, sister, brother, auntie, uncle, grandma, grandpa, cousin, or worse yet, friend of the family. Case in point, 11-year-old Audrey Cunningham. Now that's the most recent case. A monster, Don Stephen McLean. What's he accused of? Glad you asked. The official charge is capital murder related to the death of Audrey Danielle Cunningham, age 11. And anybody that was talking about that particular case knows only part, just like I do, only part of what that man has been charged with. That's what I'm trying to pull up right now. Oh, here we go. There we go. And I'm going to pull this up with the aid of my WordPad here. This is what he's been charged with since 2001. I know the rap sheet's a lot longer than this. Oh, and by the way, YouTube, I apologize. No, I don't, because this is what he's been charged with. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to dumb it down or make it childlike for a child to understand. This is what he was charged with. Now, having said that, here we go. 2001, he was charged with marijuana, with possession of marijuana after being arrested by the Cleveland Police Department. 2002, sentenced to 5 years for assault on a public servant. 2003, McLean was arrested for possession of a dangerous drug and sentenced to 4 months. February 23rd of 2003, he received a 3-year sentence for assault of a public servant out of Liberty County. Keep in mind, this is in Texas, folks. July of 2003, charged with possession of marijuana. September 2005, arrested in Harris County and charged with evading arrest or detention. February 7, 2006, That's my birthday back in 2006. McLean received an 8-month sentence for theft of more than $1,500 but less than $20,000 out of Harris County. 7 days later, on February 15th of '06, he received a 180-day sentence for possession of meth less than a gram. March 31st, 2007, he received a 2-year sentence for enticing a child out of Brazoria County. Now that's the one they said that he pled down to. Only God knows what he actually did on that day. July '09, received a 180-day sentence for unauthorized use of a vehicle out of Harris County. February 6th of 2010, arrested and later sentenced to 4 years for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon out of Harris County. September 10, 2020, received a 2-year sentence for unauthorized use of a vehicle out of Liberty County. Released on September 12, 2022 after completing his sentence. April 13th, 2014, arrested and later sentenced to 30 days for theft of property less than $500. July 2014, arrested again and sentenced to 30 days for reckless driving. 2019, arrested and later sentenced to 9 months for assault causing bodily injury. 2020, arrested in Harris County on a harassment charge. September 2023, arrested by the Conroe Police Department and charged with resisting arrest, search, or transportation. Appeared in court on December 19, 2023, and pled guilty. And now, that monster can add capital murder to his rap sheet. Capital murder of a 11-year-old girl. And I too, like so many others, have the redacted arrest warrant, but we have it nonetheless. I know I'm just setting this up, but it has yet to load all the way. There it is. There it is. Nah. And as you can see, he's already behind bars under no bond. And honestly, he deserves every bit of that. Every last bit. I like to get this closer where I can zoom in on it. Oh, maybe I can't. There we go. There we go. All right, this is from the magistrate. Tell me he's charged with this, and this. His probable cause. Refuses to sign. Bond set at 0. This is coming from the magistrate, Jamie Richardson. Alright. This is coming from Detective Kayla Hemperly, telling us exactly everything that he did and what he's being charged with. And again, signed by the detective and endorsed by the magistrate February 20th, 2024. This is the arrest warrant here. And yes, of course, this is the redacted version. There's a lot of things we're not going to see here, which is okay. Some of us can get the gist of it. Combat vet asked, "Geez, what the freak goes on? They just want money from the government. It's not just that too. I mean, look at the if you look at it from the victim, it's all about power. It's all about control. It's all about I'm such a big boss. Blah 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 blah. I can do what I want to you." And that, to me, is the sound of a monster. No matter if you're a friend of the family, all the way up to mom and dad. Another wild example I can give you as far as a recent case. Now keep this in mind. I'm an adopted child. I've been a foster child. So I know what pain, torture, having a lack of food, being malnourished, and the like is all about. Which is why I bring up Tim and Tracy Ferriter. Tim and Tracy Ferriter both abused, tortured, falsely imprisoned their adopted son. And what happens with Tim Ferriter? He gets sentenced to only 5 years. 5 years. That is something I can never fathom. How do you adopt a child? No. Let me go back a little further. How do you say you want to be a child's foster parent and then treat that child like that? How do you do that? Oh, and then there's then there's the abuse. There's the abuse. The physical abuse, that's self-explanatory. The emotional abuse is self-explanatory. There's so much of it that is self-explanatory. But I'm digging in my notes just regarding verbal abuse. For a child being verbally abused, research suggests that verbal abuse during childhood can literally reshape the developing brain. Hurtful words and demeaning messages can leave an indelible mark, affecting how neural pathways form and function. And so basically, anybody that tells you that words don't hurt, they lie to you. They lie to you heavily because words can cut you like a knife, hit you bluntly like a hard object, and stick you right in the heart like an arrow. Then there's the internalized beliefs. What's up, NorCal Jim? Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. Oh, by the way, I am going. I'm gonna give you the link if you want to jump in on the live panel. But again, I suggest you do this either on Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge because those are the browsers that are easiest to work with. All right, there is the link. Let's see what Teresa said. Teresa said she was beat and her dad told her she would never amount to anything. I don't know which one's worse, Teresa, the beating or the fact that your dad said that you would never amount to anything. It hurts regardless. That's for sure. This goes right back into the notes I was talking about. Those internalized beliefs. Children internalize the messages communicated by verbal abuse. When they repeatedly hear that they're stupid, inadequate, or inferior, those words become the foundation of their self-perception. Without intervention, these beliefs persist into adolescence and into adulthood. I tell you guys, when it comes to your kids are like flowers, you know. Oh, and Teresa says she's 55 years old and it still is implanted in me. Ladies and gentlemen, just what I just read on internalized beliefs. Here's our example. 55 years of age, and those words are still ingrained into her brain. Should they be? No, but it is. How you doing, Jessica? It's okay. It's okay. We're just getting started. Excuse me. Glad you made it. This is another reason why I always say that I always want you to protect your mental health because being verbally abused as a child can lead to poor adult mental health. It says verbally abused children often struggle with mental health issues as adults. The emotional scars from childhood persist, impacting their well-being. That's a fact. That is a definite fact. I mean, all right, let's see what we got here. Jessica, 42, and it is still there lingering in the back, even though I know he was the horrible one. I tell you, It's those words that will cut you sharper than a knife. They distinguish verbal abuse occurring within relationships, and the damage escalates based on the relationship's importance. It thrives in situations with an imbalance of power. And unlike momentary outbursts, verbal abuse leaves lasting harm. We've got a lot of that. The negative consequences. Verbally abused children may exhibit delinquent behavior. Emotional wounds can lead to depression. Impact of hurtful words may manifest as aggression. Some turn to substances to cope, and deep-seated anger can persist. The reason you never learned how to drive until you overcame his words in your head at the age of 40. That's great. That's great news to hear. It shows that we can overcome this. This is where part of the title for this edition comes in: empowering children. We want to give our children the power now, before this ever happens to them. We want them to be able to be able to fight this thing before they become another Audrey Cunningham, another Cody Bigsby, another you name the victim. The last thing we want them to do is suffer at the hands of these monsters. You know? Words do have immense power. All right. I look, and I mentioned, I mentioned, I got this this information courtesy of Microsoft Copilot. Go figure that one. I mentioned these exact words. The physical monsters no longer hide under the bed or hide in the closet. To make matters worse, sometimes they are called mom, dad, brother, sister, grandma, grandpa, auntie, uncle, and even worse, friend of the family. What can both children and adults watch out for to prevent another Audrey Cunningham, another Harmony Montgomery, another Gannon Stout, etc. from happening? And before I get the exact results, I'll see. Teresa says she's proud that she has never turned to substance. That's awesome. And Jessica, exactly, she says, I don't wish the feelings and the trauma on any child because I know that feeling. And it sucks because you're too young to fully understand it all or process it. Absolutely. Absolutely. So this is what Microsoft Copilot came up with, and I'm almost embarrassed because what Copilot came up with, we find this in our news. Watch. Physical abuse, intentional physical harm or endangerment. Sexual abuse, inappropriate sexual activity with a child. Emotional abuse, injuring a child's self-esteem through verbal assault, isolation, or rejection. Medical abuse, providing false information about a child's illness. And neglect, failing to provide adequate care, food, shelter, or affection. And this is for our children. This is for our children. We're seeing everything that these monsters do against them. I can pick a case out right now, and not only will it set us off, not only will it set us off, but it will tell. It's very telling. Perfect example: Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Perfect example: Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Now, a lot of us don't want us to feel sorry for her because of her I'm free media tour, I'm free social media tour, but at the same time, look at all of what she went through, spent time in jail for. If you don't have any kind of empathy for what she went through, something's wrong. Something is totally wrong. Another case that'll Daisy, welcome. Just got here and you're listening. Well, I'm glad you're here. Okay, I get this one, Jessica. I can't fully not like her, but I can't fully like her either because I know she was abused as well. Oh, but that means you have some kind of empathy for her. Trust me, I get it. I think a lot of us do too. But the one case I can think of that really hits me in the heart. One that I have followed for quite some time is little Kaylee Anthony. Kaylee Anthony. Now, again, we've already mentioned what's needed and what's not. We've talked about what these monsters do and what these monsters don't do. We pretty much summed it up. What's the difference between a monster and a guardian? Yeah. That one gets me as well as Summer Wells. Yeah. Where are the guardians for these children? The ones that are supposed to be guardians? They're the monsters. Earlier I mentioned Shonda Vander Ark and Michael Ferguson. I can throw Paul's name in that mix too because Paul is Michael's brother. Shonda Vander Ark is Michael's mother. But they turned out to be the monsters instead. I mentioned Kaylee Anthony. The monster is Casey. Yeah. She may have gotten. She may have been She may have been acquitted in court thanks to Jose Baez's song and dance, but she's a monster nonetheless. Or else we wouldn't have had to call her name. These days they're caring more about their next hit of drugs, and that sucks. Jessica, let me give you a flashback on Miss Casey Anthony. At the time I recognized her as the most hated woman in America. And yes, exactly, she is guilty AF. I'll stand by that to the day. She didn't want Kaylee. That's a known fact. She didn't want Kaylee. And if you paid attention to all those photos she had when she was partying, one noticeable photo was a tattoo on her. And it said exactly what her attitude was. How she wanted to live. La bella vita, the beautiful life. And oh yeah, she's living the beautiful life, all right. Her daughter is dead, and she's still lying and trying to throw everybody under the bus except her. She refuses to take responsibility. Most recently, once again, she tried to she tried to throw her dad under the bus. To which I say to this moment, come on, Casey, really? Step up, be woman enough, and take some responsibility. Yeah. I mentioned that I called Casey the most hated woman in America. Well, she was at the time. Then somebody else took the crown. I wish I could force her to watch a movie in Kaylee's Picks a few hours daily. Ooh, wouldn't that be something? That would be something. Jessica, let me ask you your thought on this. Let's say hypothetically you could do that. Hypothetically, do you think you could get a confession out of her? Do you honestly think you can get a confession out of her just by that? Now it's Kayla and Yolanda for Selena. And then as for my question, she said maybe. I don't know why these people continue having these babies for them just to get hurt. I'm with you. I'm with you on that, Teresa. I mean, I've said this many times in cases like this, and I quote Michael Jackson on this. If you can't feed the baby, then don't have a baby. And don't think maybe if you can't feed the baby. Kayla for Harmony. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for bringing Harmony Montgomery up. Now, we're about to throw yet another monster behind bars for another child's death. This time, it's Adam Montgomery. Adam Montgomery, I don't know what was on his mind, but whatever it was, it led to the end of Harmony Montgomery's life. They have them so they can use the government. That's what combat vet is sticking to that point. I'm not even gonna try to get him off on it. And here's one that I can probably that I'm still, let's see, just oh wow. Oh, well, I'll talk about him in a minute. Let's see. Teresa, I will talk about him in just a minute. Kayla should get life as well. Yeah. I agree. Drugs and money. Yeah, I agree to that to an extent too. But I wanted to mention this one, the one I sarcastically call the Father of the Year, Chad Dorman. Chad Dorman. If there was, if there's anybody sitting as a criminal defendant who deserves life behind bars or even the DP, Chad Dorman is that guy. I mean, who would, in their right mind, who in their right mind would want to take their three beautiful little boys, ages 7 and under, and then execute them? Execute them. I'm sorry, but I'll stick by my sarcasm. Thank you, Chad Dorman. What a doting father. As far as I'm concerned, he ended 4 lives that day. He ended 4 lives that day. His 3 sons and the mother that loved those 3 kids. Sure, the mother's alive, but deep down, that woman is heartbroken. Let's see. Was it because his wife wanted a divorce? That was the initial word I heard. That was the initial word I heard. As Yeah, that's right. That's right, Teresa. Alive, yes, alive, but empty inside. All right. Why are we saying that? Because she said it on many occasions. Those 3 boys were her world. As I see, combat vets brings common sense. Yeah, geez, get a divorce and move on. That's what common sense would say. So yet there's so many like me who didn't have the chance to be blessed with a child, and they so carelessly do what they do. Oh my God. This is why we are having this conversation. I thank you all so much for joining me on this. Yeah, divorce or just leave. Yeah, again, common sense. Common sense. No, that's not. That's not. If the case, the move is if I can't have you, if I can't have all of you, meaning you and the kids, then I won't have none of you. It's so stupid. The attitude is so stupid and so reckless. And who suffers the most? If you abuse the child, you torture that child, and and that child happens to survive you, they still suffer. They survive you, then they survive after you, yet they still suffer. If that child doesn't survive, all those who actually loved that child, whether it be adult or child themselves, they suffer. All because one or more monsters wanted to be that selfish. You have to conquer the trauma after and all that connects to it. You're right. You're so right. But for some people, it's not as is it may sound easy, but not it's not as easy as it sounds. Let's see. Let me back up. Women who want a child and can't deserve a child, but you have these selfish people who unalive their children. There you go, combat vet. I'm with you. That's what angers me too. Let me bring you back. Let me bring you back to the current most hated woman in America, Letitia Stout. Let me catch Teresa's comment first. She said, "Here it goes. When people want to hurt someone, how do they hurt them? They go after what will hurt them when most, and sadly, it's the children." Yep, it's sad. It's sad. And Letitia Stout ranks high up there. She hurt many people due to what she did to Gannon. Yeah, the vulnerable ones. Oh, I believe we all understand that one, Teresa. I do. I put Letitia Stout in that category. Two more monsters I put in that same category are Chad and Lori Vallow Daybell. Yeah. I want to jump in the TV and just have at it. I bet. And as for the Daybells, I would love to have been a fly on the wall just so somehow I can annoy him enough to lay the smackdown on both. Went from one to infinity is that with Letitia? I believe a lot of us that have PTSD probably went the same route. Jessica says, "Yeah, as soon as she spoke, I was done." I think we all had it with her the moment she opened her mouth. Who we got here in the house? Rain, how you doing? Come on in, get comfortable as you can. No sound. I'm on max. I'm all maxed out. Now, maybe it's on your end, Rain. I don't know. Oh, okay, there we go. I'm chuckling, but it's not a ha ha. This is funny chuckle. This is something. This is like, come on. So we have people losing their grip with reality chuckle, and we just mentioned two of these monsters, Lori Vallow Daybell and Chad Daybell, just to just to cover whatever they were doing. They had to kill JJ and Tylee for what? Monsters get what monsters deserve. And another pair of monsters who should have gotten a lot more than what they got, in my opinion. Hold on, before I even get the name out of their mouth, I got a comment from Combat Vet saying the other day Lori went to court, walked in there with a smile, looking crazy. Lori, you just don't know how I felt. I can get a good idea, because that woman walked in carefree, like she didn't have a care in the world. I can only imagine how you were feeling at that point. Jessica said, because somehow her brain broke into an alternate universe somewhere. Possibly, possibly. Rain. Rain says way too comfortable. Wait, yeah. She's way too comfortable because she figures whatever the mess she's in, she's gonna get out of it scot free. Wrong. And as far as like I said, as far as monsters who should get a lot more than what they got. The names on the end of my tongue right now are Ruby Frankie and Jody Hildebrand. Now those two, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Let me go back. Let me go before we go on with those two. Let me get the rest of these comments here. Jessica, like she was on a field trip or something. Yeah, her mind is sick. Yeah, that woman is on. It's got to be on something. I couldn't with them. It triggered my trauma. See, that's why I always say a lot to protect your mental health. It's it's mind-boggling to me how these monsters some of them can act carefree long after they've been arrested, jailed, convicted, and all that, just to get set for another trial in Lori Vallow Daybell's case. She walks into a courtroom smiling as if she didn't have a care in the world. Combat Vessie says she's not sick, she's pretending. Okay. And Jessica, what they did is what my life was like, but it was the 80s and early 90s, so it wasn't thought about or spoke about. For some of these monsters, I don't get it. I don't. I try to, but I don't get it. I mentioned Ruby Frankie and Jody Hildebrand in the same breath because, well, they were business partners. They were the ones who called themselves giving us parenting advice. And at the same time, Ruby, you were you were torturing your kids. You were abusing your kids. But you're the one that has all the answers, right? Let's see. Rain says support for any victim of crime. Healing is important. While I agree with you, and I believe everybody in the chat agrees with you, Rain. But here's the thing: when it comes down to being abused, being tortured as a child, that kind of help, that kind of healing, it's got to come over time. It's got to come over time. Yes, it is very important, but it takes time because simply put, you got so much to deal with. You getting beat. Oh wow, look at this. Jennifer Honeyholes in the house. Hey, good seeing you here, Jennifer. Good to see you. Combat Vet says Lori is not mentally ill. He believes that with his whole heart. Jessica says it takes a lifetime. It's taken me. It takes a lifetime. It's taken me, and I'm still in therapy because things and triggers pop up. And Rain's saying she's good. Like she's probably in agreement with Combat Vet. Yeah, she's probably putting on a performance worthy of 3 spots on the EGOT chart. Anyway, like I said, Joe, I'm starting with Ruby. Ruby, you tortured your children. You tortured, you abused, you verbally abused, you emotionally abused, and then you linked up with Jody. And now you saying, now you want to make up for what you did, but which is one reason why you pled guilty. So instead of you going to trial, you get to go to prison for anywhere between 4 and 60 years. Now, honestly, a lot of us believe you should have got the full 60. So even more of us believe you should have gotten a lot more. But let's do this. Let's do this. Everybody in the chat, if you believe, this is just on Ruby, not Ruby and Jody, but this is just on Ruby herself. If you believe that Ruby Frankie should have gotten 60 years flat maximum, put a 1 in. If you believe she should have gotten more, put a 2. I want to see how this turns out. If you believe she should have gotten a flat 60-year maximum, put a 1. If you believe it's more, put a 2. I'll give you a few minutes. Let these 2s and 1s come in, and then I'll see where all the 2s come in. Rain is right. Yeah, because she exploited him on social media. Absolutely. Teresa doesn't know her. Let me remind you, there was a YouTube channel called Eight Passengers. Ruby Frankie always was at the front of it because she was the one with all the parenting advice, and she has her 8 kids to show for it. All right, Combat Vet says she should have got the 60 max. Jessica says more. Daisy says 1. Daisy says max. Jennifer Heine Hole says more. Okay, well, what else we got here? Daisy deserves more, but the justice system won't allow it. Ugh. I agree with that. That part I agree. The part about the justice system won't allow her to get more. But I'm just saying for record that a lot of people believe deep down that both Jody and Ruby especially, should have gotten more than just the 4 to 60 year sentence that they both got. That's the reason I did that unscientific poll here. But still, but those kids, they've got to deal with that in the back of their minds for a while, and that's gonna take. It's gonna take a lot of time for them to heal. A lot of time. And that's if you survive the abuse. That's if you survive the torture. Let's see what we got. What's Rain saying here? The older boy should have done something not to victim shame. Okay, now here's what gets me with the comment. The older boys were victims themselves as well. How are they going to victim shame anybody? They could have overthrown her. Yeah, I don't know about all that because overthrowing mom, especially with that kind of power that she has. I don't know about all that. I mean, with the way the abusers are now, they already have the power. The only way to survive them is by finding a way to escape the monsters. Yeah, they had a platform. They had a platform. Just ask for help. Yeah, easier said than done. When you got she had what? She had literally millions of people following her on the channel. But you also got to understand, she has access. She had access to the channel. Jessica's backing me up on this one, saying she never gave them a moment to even ask for help because she was always there watching every move they made. That's the point. That's the point. It was basically Ruby's version of one of my favorite Hulk Hogan promos with one line. This is where the power lies. She had access to the camera. She has access to the account. So any one of those children trying to get help that way, it would never seen the light of day. where they made that mistake, where they made the mistake was that younger one. They finally got that younger one to was able to go and get help. Let's see, just Cat. She could have threatened him like mine threatened to unalive my kitten, and he did because he got angry, so I was terrified. Yep. Rain says that sounds like hell. Hell, well, that's exactly what hell was for them. That was complete torture. That was hell. That was it's the kind of thing you wouldn't wish upon any child. Any child. As for Jody Hildebrand, all she kept doing while those two were linked together was stay in Ruby's ear. Everything Jody told her to do, Ruby acted like, oh, that's a great idea. Let me see if I can implement that within my family. And all that resulted was more torture, more pain, more agony. Just Cat. At least they had I had my escape at school. They didn't even have that. Yeah. Daisy. I'm sad you went through that. It must have been horrific. Reminds me of the dad in When the Rabbit Howls. Combat vet. Hope they serve in the same prison cell in General Pop. They could. They could very well be serving the same sentence in general population. Oh, that's unreal. That's unreal? Let me go back to Tim and Tracy Farrader real quick. Rain, you want to talk about unreal? This young man is now, what is he now, 16? He was about 14 when this happened to him, and in two different locations. Adopted father, Tim Farrader, creates an 8-foot by 8-foot box in his garage, using that to punish the boy whenever he, quote unquote, got out of line. Oh yeah, that's exactly what he did. He did it in Arizona, and he did it again in Florida. Only thing is, in Florida, he got busted for it. He was put on trial, and he was sentenced to about 5 years. Good to see you. We're doing just fine. If anybody who wants to jump in, the panel, the live panel is always open. I would love to hear what you all have to say. So there's the link once again. And again I ask you to, if you really want to make it easy, get on either Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge. Let's see. Combat Vets. Let me go quickly catch. Combat Vet says, guess he couldn't handle the shame. 5 years? Please. Yeah, you're right. He should have gotten a lot more than 5 years. But also we're still waiting for Tracy now. Her turn's coming. And Tracy, as far as I'm concerned, she let it happen. She let it happen. She pretty much endorsed what Tim did. Which is why all the more reason, okay, she should get some prison time too. No matter how much prison time Tracy gets, I'm gonna say she deserves more too. If it ends up being as much as Tim got, she should get more. If she gets a little over what Tim got, she should get more. That's the point. That's the point I've been bringing up this whole time. It happens a lot. It happens too often. And like I said earlier, while you got mom, dad, sister, brother, aunt, uncle, grandpa, grandma, cousin, friend of the family, those are the people that's supposed to be loving on these kids. They're supposed to be protecting these kids. They're supposed to be nurturing these kids. They're doing the total opposite. Please. Oh, wow. Please, Jennifer. I can't stress this enough. If I'm gonna go back into my notes and I want to give out. I want to see if I can give out some advice real quick. All right. If you guys do not want to be the monster in our children's lives, and you want to have preventive measures to make sure none of cases like this doesn't happen, let's start by educating our children. You want to teach them about being safe in every aspect, including safe touch and inappropriate behavior, and encourage them to talk about their experiences. That's the first thing. Second thing, parents, we can say no to our kids, but we should be able to empower our children to say no to adults. Teach them assertiveness and boundaries. Let them know it's okay to refuse uncomfortable situations. If you want to know that your child is being abused or not, watch the warning signs. There are frequent and unusual bruises. If you notice that, watch your child. There are inconsistent explanations. The stories aren't adding up. That's a problem. Children avoid going home. That's a problem. All those who are not not parents but still want to play the hero for children, watch out for unusual behavior. That's in the neighborhood watch. And if you suspect abuse, Please don't hesitate. Report it to the authorities. You're right. That's the key. That is the key. Then we as adults need to be educated too. Not just for the parents, but those who aren't parents as well. For parenting programs, we want to teach positive parenting techniques. We want to raise awareness about child abuse. We want to create safe spaces for parents to seek help. And finally, we want to promote safe relationships by having nurturing environments. We want to provide stability and love. We want to educate families, teaching them healthy communication and having families connect with resources. Preventing child abuse requires a collective effort. So what we want to do is to be vigilant, compassionate, and committed to protecting our children from the monsters. And there it is. There it is. There it is. There it is. I say this with every missing persons case that I can cover. If you see something, by God, say something. That's the way. That's the other side of it. How we can break the cycle. We want to end this as much as humanly possible. We do not. The last thing we want is another. And you can fill in the names all you want to. We don't want this to happen. We want our children to provide the future. We have to leave the future in their hands. But we can't do it if we're killing them off. We can't do it if we're torturing them. We can't do it if we're starving them to death. Something to think about. And in the meantime, as far as the monsters go, and I promised I was going to bring him up, and I was gonna call him out till the day is long. Let's see. Rather than looking over our past, the situation, or hailing about it, recording in your phone like most do these days. Just stand up for the goodness of our children. Yes, yes, yes. They are our future. Jessica, I'm gonna give you a round of applause just for that. Absolutely. Again, we're killing our future. And I'm saying we in general. I know it's not all of us. I mean, we've got monsters on top of monsters, including the one we're about to pretty much get in a matter of days right now. Don Stephen McClane. Excuse me, McDougal. Don Stephen McDougal. I showed you his arrest warrant. We've seen his photos. We know about his rap sheet. We know it's as long as a lot of our arms and maybe some of our legs. Yeah. Your time is coming, Don Stephen McDougal. This time, you got to charge that, as my pastor would say, that Ajax, Comet, and Clorox can't get off. You pretty much booked yourself on a one-way ticket to the rest of your life behind bars. As well as her family. Besides, her biological mother needs to be locked away. That one I'm not too sure about, because she admitted that she failed Audrey. I can have a little bit of sympathy for. But as if anybody that really needs to be locked away in that family, if you're asking my opinion, I'm saying dad and I'm saying grandma, because both of them knew what this monster is capable of. Oh, maybe I read it wrong then. I was saying she doesn't, but the rest of them do. Maybe I read it wrong. Well, so I apologize to you, Jessica. Sure enough, though, Don, I'm focusing on the monster himself, Don Stephen McLean. Don, I keep thinking Don McLean. Bye bye, Miss American Pie. Don Stephen McDougal. Your time is coming. You will. You pretty much have already booked your one-way ticket to the rest of your life behind bars. And I almost wish that you land in general population, because there are some guys in that big house who do not like the idea of you or anyone like you abusing kids. And that is where the line has been drawn. Let's see. Teresa says, I don't know about mom, but allegedly she has said herself that there has been other men around that house many times that were bad too. Ooh. You may be right about that, but they don't come any worse than Stephen McDougal. They don't come no worse than Stephen McDougal. As far as other monsters that have yet to be dealt with. Let's see, just in my head. So I don't mess his name up. I call him McDucky. See, I messed up. I kept calling him McLean because I'm thinking Don McLean. Bye bye, Miss American Pie. Anyway, Um, what other monsters have we dealt with? What other monsters have we dealt with? What other children do we know of, and their cases haven't been solved yet? I can think of a couple. We mentioned one earlier, Summer Wells. Or how about Michael Monkey Vaughn? Yeah, I did the missing persons on him earlier before we even got started on this conversation. Mm, Don Wells. Bottom line is this has there's something has to be done, or else something's got to be done. Somebody's got to make sure that responsibility is taken. Okay, you missed it on Elijah. Hang on, this is one I can actually redo. Hang on real quick. Or as my good friend allegedly with Brittany J would say, hold please. All right. There we go. All right. There you go. Now you got it on your screen. I'm gonna run this back for everybody once again. This is Elijah Vu. He's 3 years old, missing out of Two Rivers, Wisconsin. He's been missing since February 20th of 2024. At the time of his disappearance, he stood about 3 feet tall, weighed around 50 pounds, last seen wearing gray sweatpants, long sleeve dark colored shirt, red and green dinosaur slip on shoes, with a birthmark on his knee, with sandy colored hair and brown eyes. This was a child abduction alert issued in Manitowoc County, Wisconsin for Elijah. Yes, he's missing and last seen near the 3900 Michicot Road in Two Rivers, Wisconsin. Again, if you have any if you have any information on this young man's disappearance, please, I'm begging you, do not hesitate. You want to call 911 first. If not, then call the Two Rivers Police Department at 844-267-6648. Or you can call the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children's 24-hour call center at 1-800-THE-LOST. It's 1-800-843-5678. Bottom line, if you see something, please say something. Megan, good to see you. How you doing? How you doing? Let's see. Excuse me, I'm dealing with a cough. Jessica says, "You think me being in Illinois, they'd have it in the news because we live along the I-80 corridor." One would think that. Jennifer Heine Hole, I think the whole side is messing up a lot lately. They usually don't take crap in Texas or Oklahoma. But with how many are let out of prison over and over is becoming embarrassing. Agreed. And this is for little Elijah. Blue hearts, dinosaurs, like that. Let's find Elijah and let's bring him home safe, right? Miss Kim, how you doing? Yeah, that's a great idea. Blue hearts and dinosaurs all over for Elijah, so we can bring him home, right? Yeah. I'm. I mean, I don't know about anybody else. I don't know about anybody else, but I am literally sick to my stomach every time I hear of another case of a child being killed by those who were supposed to take care of them. Like this one, ladies and gentlemen. Hang on. Hold, please. Oh, makes you sick? The next article I'm about to read, courtesy of my friends at Court TV, is going to make you sick. An Ohio mother is pleading guilty in the death of her 16-month-old daughter, whom she left home alone for 10 days. 32-year-old Crystal Candelero was arrested in June 2023 after police said she abandoned her daughter while vacationing in Michigan and Puerto Rico from June 6th to June 16th. Prosecutors said the child was extremely dehydrated at the time of death. Her body was found in a pack and play soiled with urine and feces. In a press that was in the press release. On Thursday, prosecutors announced that Candelario pleaded guilty to one count of aggravated murder and one count of endangering children. She'll be sentenced on March 18th. This case is truly unimaginable cases that will stick with me for many years to come, said prosecutor Michael C. O'Malley. As prosecutors, it is our job to represent the victims, and today we spoke on behalf of 16-month-old Jalen, who is no longer with us, due to the selfless actions of her mother made. This conviction today is the first step towards justice for Jalen. All right, let's see. Megan L. Megan L just wants to give all these babies and show them the life they deserve. Who wouldn't? Who would not? Daisy calls her selfish, and she is. I'm really interested in the numbers, statistics, status of how many children / young adults under 20 who have been failed from 2010 to now. I'm scared to see the graph chart for Lacey. Um, and let's see, yeah. Just the past 4 years, I feel like it's been a record high now. It's so sad. It's a sad world, a mad world. I agree with all this. All this. let me see if I can pull that information up for you. (2010) to how many children died at the hands of adults who were supposed to care for them? Oh my God. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Okay, maybe this might give us an insight. Okay, I don't have the answer you're looking for exactly, Jennifer, but I do have stats from the last from 2001 as far as child abuse goes. Listen to this. More than 600. This is now, keep in mind, this is as of 20. This is as of 20 up to 2021. More than 600,000 children are abused in the United States each year. That's an estimate. In 2021, the most recent year for which there is national data, the actual number of children abused is likely underreported because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Child welfare authorities ensure the safety of more than 7 million kids. Of those, around 3 million received an investigation or an alternative response from Child Protective Services agencies. This is a decrease from previous years. Explanations from various states for the change include a backlog reduction, changes to screening and assessment policies, and reductions due to the pandemic. An estimated 1.8 million children receive prevention services. And it still bugs me. It bugs me. And let's see. Jennifer's now says that in 2019 to now, it went up to 27.7%. God. All-time high spike. So I originally titled this Guardians versus Monsters. We see all the monsters, but where are the Guardians? We see all the monsters, but where are the Guardians? Yep. That number is terrible. You know what? Instead of me asking the question of where are the Guardians, we have to be the Guardians. We have to be the Guardians because as long as these children are not being looked after by the people that's supposed to be looking after them, that's supposed to be protecting them, that's supposed to be loving on these kids, we're going to have to be the ones to do it. If we don't do it, who will? Look at this. Look at this. 2020. Homicide was the second leading cause of death for youth ages 1 to 17. More than 1,018 child homicide deaths that year. Firearm-related child homicides rose nearly 48% between 2019 and 2020. My God. I'm checking on Guardians now. I'm scared to look. Look, let's see. I tried to come up on panel, but it didn't connect. Next time. Okay, no problem, Combat Vet, because I would love to hear from you, man. Jessica says I'll step up when I can. I'm still close to one of my ex's kids because he needs a positive person in his circle. Absolutely. Step up where you can, step up how you can. The children need us. Teresa, I believe I've signed every last one of them, including the change for what we're technically tentatively calling Audrey's Law. It's time to change all this. Our children are suffering, and we're pretty much letting it happen. And as long as we continue to let it happen, it's going to continue to happen. This is why we say, if you see something, say something. Can't be stressed any more than that. Let's see, I made a petition for Audrey's Law. I was so mad and hurt. Yes, I totally understand that. Teresa, I've signed 2 of them. Let's call it the Children's Law. Make it nationwide, not just Texas. You're right. Combat Vet, it sure is. Our government needs to change the laws. On top of it, it's not just the government needing to change the laws. It's us needing to make an impact in the children's lives. We notice all these bruises. We notice all these scars. We notice how all this avoidance, all these signs that our children are hurting, but we're not moving a muscle. That's not good. Let's see. Yeah, agrees. It does need to be nationalized. We are failing our children. That's why we get so many of these reports. Somebody does. You're right. Somebody does. If not us, who? Like Teresa just said, it says that it starts with us. It starts with us. And like I just asked again, if not us, who? Yes, laws need change and more funding for mental health on top of that. I totally agree. I'm gonna end this out with a good word of wisdom from my pastor. And if there's any one quote that my pastor would say that I'm in total alignment with, it's this. I keep saying that we need to do more to protect our children, and I am in total, and I stand by that. But the quote my pastor says best is, "Whoever gets to them first, whoever gets to them first wins." And right now, the monsters are getting to our kids first. What does that tell? What does that tell us? Although I agree with your statement, combat vet, and that we need help. Our lawmakers today aren't thinking about helping anybody else but themselves. I'll say this again before I wrap this thing up. Whoever gets to our kids first wins. Oh, one last one. All right, what you got? The rate of homicide in the United States rose by about 28% in 2020, from 2.2 per 100,000 in 2019 to 2.8 per 100,000 in 2020. That, that's shocking. That is shocking. That is upsetting to me. Again, yeah. So there's so much. It's heartbreaking, and that's children under 17. Jennifer Hole, I appreciate the stat you brought. I really do. It goes back to what I just said minutes ago. Whoever gets to our children first. Oh, I think I know what you're talking about now. Antonio Ibarra. Jose Antonio Ibarra. I'm gonna have to talk about that another time. Yep. Got people agreeing with combat vet. And I'm not saying I disagree with them. I won't say that at all. Oh, because I've been saying it for the last couple of minutes. We need to right now it's our children that need our help. I'm not gonna I'm not saying yes and I'm not saying no. It's just the numbers is just too much to even consider whether that COVID is being blamed on all these murders on kids under the age of 17. It just doesn't sound right. All right. Okay. Mhm. What I'm not gonna do is politicize the whole thing because I'm not gonna turn this thing into politics because that'll turn this discussion back to the old BETHEA'S BYTE, and I said that's something I would never want to do. So what I'm gonna do is end this right here. I'm going to end this right here. I want to thank everybody that showed up in the chat. I want to thank everybody who participated in the conversation. This is conversations like this need to be had. And that's going to be that's going to be the bow that's going to be the bow that's going to wrap this whole thing up. It's not politics. It's us as human beings. So that's it. That's it. So like I said, thank you all for joining me. Thank you all for joining on the conversation. And if you have any further comments on the whole thing, here's as far as following me on social media, Facebook, BETHEA'S BYTE Reloaded, X at EKB316, here on YouTube at BETHEA'S BYTE Reloaded, Instagram at EKB316. That's in small case compared to uppercase on X. TikTok at King of Hearts 316 2021. Email me, King of Hearts 316 King of Hearts 316 _09 at outlook.com. If you're gonna email me, use the in the subject line, just put in Guardians versus Monsters. All right. And I really do appreciate you guys. I do from the bottom of my heart. Last I checked, I got over 500 I got over 500 followers. It's not because of anything I did. That's you guys. And I appreciate it. So, having said all that, I'm going to wrap this thing up. I'm going to say good night to y'all. I'll likely be over at allegedly with Brittany J later on. So if I pop in there, you know it's about to be on. All right, guys. Thank you ever so much. Let's do this again, same time. Oh, next week. Hopefully, I'll be back at my regular time, 3:00 in the east, noon in the west, and let's keep this thing going, right? Until then, you all know what to do. Bite this. Thanks for watching and joining me here at the drama-free true crime destination. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and drop me a comment on this video. And be sure to follow BETHEA'S BYTE Reloaded all over social media. This is BETHEA'S BYTE, and it's reloaded.